Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We've all heard about ChatGPT, right? Can anyone tell me the full form of GPT? Can anyone tell me the full form of GPT? In ChatGPT. Anyone? What is the full form of GPT? Generative program technology. Good try, close but not there yet. Okay. So, the full form of GPT, anybody else? Generative, yes. Pre-trained, yes, and then transformer. That's what we are in. We're in the age of ChatGPT. Today we're going to be discussing about the evolving talent and skills landscape in the era of AI. Believe me, we've not taken our cues from ChatGPT. Everything is going to be live and fresh in front of you. And please allow me to welcome a wonderful panel. We have with us Mr. Mukesh Kataria, who's the head of Learning and Development HR at Quality Kiosk Tech Private Limited. Mukeshji. We have Dr. Shivdasini Amin, who's a professor and master certified coach, ICF, Mahindra University. Ms. Priya Mahambre, AVP Learning and Development, SBI General Insurance Company Limited. And finally, Manju K. Manohar, Amazon best-selling author and motivational speaker. Please may we have a loud round of applause for all of them. Thank you. At the outset, please have a seat. I'm just going to request our panelists to introduce themselves really quickly in the next 1 minute.
Hello, hi, I'm Mukesh Kataria, part of the Learning and Development team at Quality Kiosk. I specialize in technology learning, and this is my 25th year in the field of training.
Good evening, everybody. This is Shivdasini. I'm a master certified coach and a professor with Mahindra University. My specialization is in the area of strategy, HR, marketing, and communication. Good to be here with all of you today.
Hi everyone, I'm Priya Mahambre and I take care of learning and development for SBI General Insurance. So if you talk about my KRA, it reads something like capability building for achieving organizational results. So people outcomes are two focus areas. Along with that, I have personally added happiness. Let people be happy achieving their goals.
If I say 23 years old, would you really believe I'm 23 years old? Of course not. I'm having 23 years experience overall, which is more believable, right? Yes, 18 years in IT industry, including a year in talent management and extensive experience as a manager in MNCs across India and other geographies like USA. And now an Amazon best-selling author, TEDx coach, coach to CEOs, coach to executives. So I'm still working with HR managers, but in the coaching realm. So yeah, and also an author coach.
Lovely.
Manju K. Manohar, by the way, name.
Okay, so I'm going to begin off first requesting you for a loud round of applause again for all our panelists. And now, coming straight to the point, the first question that everyone has, which I'm going to ask Mukeshji. We've talked about AI, we've talked about ChatGPT. Is there really going to be a job loss because of ChatGPT and AI? That's the first thing I want to address in this room. Please go ahead.
I think that's the most talked about topic for everybody. And I would like to take a step back here. In fact, a couple of steps. I was possibly a school-going kid and it was 1980s. And I was told, personal computer wave is in, and if I go to the bank, and I actually used to go, and they used to pull out a ledger and note down some balances in the passbook, and I used to go and give it to my dad saying passbook is updated. And they said, no, this is not going to be the way in future. Everything is going to change, personal computers will come, half the jobs will be lost. I said, I'm too young to get into those discussions, and I kind of moved on. And then in the age of 1990s, now I'm in college, possibly finishing my graduation. And they said, internet is a big wave here, and half the jobs will be lost. Everything is going to be internet-based. So roughly about 75% of jobs, which I would have imagined in my school days, would have got lost. But we know what's the reality today. So that's the most common thing which is being talked about every time a disruption happens. I can continue these examples for the cloud wave, for the mobile wave, and so on. But if you really see, there are a lot of adaptation of technology into the current jobs. And of course, new jobs got flourished. When I was in school, there was no job called a web designer or HTML or a JavaScript. All was popular was MS Office at the most, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. But as technology changes, yes, there is a shift in the job skill, but jobs do remain. And that's what I'm kind of predicting for AI as well. AI will become a part of the job. So if you are a business analyst, you will need to have AI skills, and you will have an AI business analyst, an AI developer, an AI-based technical trainer. And of course, new jobs. I had never heard of a job called a prompt engineer 5 years ago. But now there are jobs for a prompt engineer. How can you prompt better to work more effectively with ChatGPT? So my conclusion to this answer is, of course, it's going to be a long drawn debate, and it can go till cows come home. But AI will enable jobs, will shift the job skills, but will not be able to replace and cause any job loss. That's my view.
And that's wonderful perspective. Thank you so much. But that brings me to a very important thought. And that thought is, while we've been talking about talent, and we've actually talked about pre-COVID and post-COVID, I think we're at a cusp right now where we have to talk about pre-AI and post-AI as well, right? In this era of AI coming in and coming in big, Shivdasini ma'am, my question to you is, how does a company, or how do companies rethink their talent as this AI is growing bigger and bigger by the day?
I'd like to add to what Mukesh said. He said computerization, and then internet came in, and then came in your mobile technology in a big way, and then digitization and digitalization, and now you see AI, right? All these are basically tools that we have to leverage, and we need to have a strategy and plan as to how to leverage them. So the need for the day, need of the hour, so to say, is reskilling and upskilling, right? So if you want to hire people, you want to retain people, which is always difficult, you have to upskill them or reskill them. And that's where that is going to be the game changer in the long run for people, right? So if this is just a tool, and I keep saying this to everybody that I meet, that the AI is just a tool. It cannot give you the answers as the truth, right? Because it is generating solutions from the data that it is gathering, correct? So you have to, at the end of the day, still use your critical thinking skills and your experience to decide what it is offering is right or wrong. And according to the World Economic Forum, the biggest risk for 2024 is misinformation and disinformation. So the truth remains garbage in, garbage out.
And that's a very, very interesting answer. Garbage in, garbage out, and what matters most is upskilling, right? So this brings me to my next immediate question to Priya ma'am. Since we're talking about skills, what are the skills which are going to be mattering the most if you had to choose maybe the top 2 or top 3 skills in this new age of AI?
Okay, so taking a cue from what Mukesh said and what Shivdasini ma'am said, when we talk about skills in the new era, possibly skills which would complement the AI capabilities. Okay, so those complementary skills would matter a lot. So when you're saying that, okay, we are going to have AI coming in a big way. One is, of course, the AI acumen, the digital skills, which is a given. It has to be there. But along with that, as Mukesh said, earlier there used to be, probably automation wasn't there and suddenly it came in. And how did people adjust to it? So maybe change management, okay? Adaptability, flexibility, these are skills which matter. Not all of them would, of course, be trainable, but we need to create an environment, a culture. And then, of course, the creativity. How are you going to use AI? So Shivdasini ma'am said that it's not about, the AI. It just gives you the data. So basically, what are you going to do with it? How is it going to be used to, shape up your work? So that is where the creativity bit comes in. So, and of course, critical thinking, as she has mentioned. So I'm sorry, I've taken too many skills, but then I'll club it all together, and I would say the skills which complement the AI capabilities.
Perfect. And while on one hand we're talking about the skills that people should have to be able to cope with AI, I mean, if everyone's going to have these skills, right, there has to be some way to distinguish the good from the very good from the great. So my question to Manju ma'am is, how do you actually see AI being leveraged, on the other hand, in the future of recruiting people and recruiting talent? Because while we can talk about the skills that people should have in the AI domain, right, there has to be a way of also segregating those with exceptional skills. So can we actually use AI as a tool there, and how?
Actually, if I'm not wrong, already it has come into existence. At least I read one in Harvard Business Review recently. Not able to remember the name exactly, but it starts with Pi Metrics or something like that, which is an AI-based tool which will help you determine whether this person really has the kind of skills that his resume or maybe he's claiming to say. We all know we have been doing interviews, right? How many of you have done or conducted interviews? Of course, a lot of you in this crowd, right? So when you do an interview, it's easy to fall for the charismatic people who speak well, etc. But then you later find out that this guy is more like a silver medalist, not exactly the gold medalist we were going for. So, but if you had used the AI-based that tool, right, tools, it would have helped you give that check stating that although this person has these capabilities, but probably not a good fit. So the AI will give a tip to the interviewer. The kind of person, I'm come from tech background, so I kind of believe that AI would be an enabler rather than fearing it. Like when, I'm sure the early man discovered fire, there would be at least, the majority would have said fire is dangerous. Let's run away from it. So human beings have been fear mongers from the very beginning. But the smart person who learned to master the fire would have commanded the leadership skills. You know, he would have been at the top of the hierarchy. Same way, if you are a doctor, or, you know, since Tejas is an IIT person, I want to say there's an AI tool which wrote IIT recently, that IIT exam, and it failed. It failed. Human beings were able to crack it much better, but I'm sure human beings will bring up tools which would be able to clear SAT, GRE, GMAT, everything faster than a human being. That is possible, but at the same time, like Shivdasini ma'am said, and Priya ma'am said, and Mukesh sir said, when you ask for skills like resilience or creativity, will AI be able to do that? AI will go with the database, what is there based on that. And if you say, no, I'm an artist. I'm an artist means I'm not a real artist. I use AI prompt and create oil paintings and all now. That's it. Anyone can do. In fact, all of you can be artists. You can do Van Gogh painting and all. Just go write the prompt in certain tools. You can do oil painting of this World HRD Congress, me on the world stage, oil painting. In seconds you can do, because you just need to learn the language, create the right prompt. But my question to you is, if a person is able to use AI in the proper manner, you can even screen whether the attitude of the person is correct. For example, might be a great employee. We saw Kevin and his angels. Kevin, I'm pulling your name. Kevin looks to be very charismatic and all that, but we don't know his attitude. What if there is an AI tool which can go and screen all his social media posts for the last 20 years and find out that 15 years back when he was a disgruntled employee, I'm just using example, sorry. Okay, so he had posted, vented out in social media about his manager. Now for an interviewer, Tejas, it's a red alert. AI is giving you, in the past there has been an instance. Now Tejas, if he is a smart interviewer, of course he is, he will ask a questions to find out whether he is still having that same old mindset. So you can use AI as an aid
to help you in getting the best talents, in screening their psychological well-being, in screening their attitudes, ethics, integrity, lot of things. So I believe that AI is a great enabler. Maybe I'm the person who thinks we invented fire. Okay, it's the beginning of the human development. So I'm a person, I think AI is going to be something, even the doctors, tomorrow before going to the doctors, already you're going to Google and symptom checking, this is the medicine, then only you go to the doctor. Tomorrow the doctors will use AI to say, is my diagnosis correct? And then only they'll tell, oh yeah, you do have a tumor or you do not have a tumor. Maybe there'll be tools like that.
Interesting, very interesting. For the record, I do not prompt going to Google and checking what illnesses you have, at least not as of today. But a very interesting point brought up by Manju ma'am, that is, we want the gold medalist. I have a very interesting thought there, We have gold in purity of 75% in rose gold, and we have a 995 gold as well. So when we talk about gold or screening for gold, every gold has the potential of being further refined, right? So now here is where I'm angling for a question to Mukeshji. Mukeshji, when we talk about employees who are good and we've screened them off, they've got the requisite skills, they're all great with their AI tools, they can manage things perfectly. They still need to be enabled more, right? Learning is a continuous process, a never-ending process. So how does one create or how does one enable these hyper-personalized learning paths, or how does one create this continuous training culture in this particular age of AI so that the employee can go from gold to gold with high purity?
Good question. I think I'm a personal believer of a lifelong learning. Even if you are gold, you can still learn and be better. Yes, AI can enable all the aspects of learning. Just picking up some examples of what we heard from previous panelists. So there are different generations if you see at the workplace. If I am an L&D and I want to roll out a program, and just for the sake of the discussion, let that program be negotiation skills. Each generation has their own style of learning. And that's where AI can make your learning hyper-personalized. So for people who are, let's say, the Generation Z, the Gen Z, they might like to learn in a particular pattern. So they like to learn 30-hour modules and possibly at the end of the day. So each learner has its own personalized learning journey. This is dynamically adapted depending on how fast you're learning, how interested you're on the topic. There are assessment questions being thrown to you. How correct those answers are, the module of the next level has a different level of difficulty for each different learner. This otherwise would not be possible humanly for each L&D person to go and watch how each learner is running and therefore recommend the next learning module to them. The traditional way of L&D programs is, here is a sequence of steps. You learn module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. At the max, they'll send you a reminder saying you were supposed to finish it, you haven't finished. But AI can take away all that load and fast track the learning journey for a few and give more time to people who need it that way. So that's my way of answering the questions on how AI can help hyper-personalize and adapt a learning journey differently to each learner.
Perfect, very interesting, which brings me to a very important question, right? Given that we're trying to personalize learning, given that we're trying to ride this entire AI wave, is it okay, Shivdasini ma'am, to now say that jobs today or jobs tomorrow are no longer going to be just a set of titles, but they're going to be a collection of skills and tasks?
Absolutely, completely. So we have to stop thinking about jobs as titles, but as a set of roles and skills that a person performs, and then people have to be trained around them, right? Now, when we say, there are two companies I would like to mention here. Genpact is one, IBM is one, and of course, Unilever is there. What they have done is they said, take a tour of duty to their employees. And they said, if you like what you see there as something that you would want to be incorporated as part of your job and you have the skill set, you're free to change your job. right? So once they are getting upskilled or reskilled and they want to take up something new, give them that opportunity. In fact, Unilever goes to the extent of saying you want to start a new business, we'll allow you to even do that. Genpact said, okay, how is the future job going to look like? Let's create on-the-job training programs and modules for you to learn. And once they created that, a lot of people took those courses. So 115,000 people in their company, majority of them upskilled, right? And therefore, you realize that Genpact also did this with their prompt engineering, right? They said, employees, this is something that is going to be important. We have developed this course. How many of you want to take it up? Majority of them took it up, and now they're riding that wave. Because prompt engineering is one of the most important roles that are coming up now, right? So that's the way it has to go.
Very interesting. And obviously, there are skills which are evolving, right? And there are a lot of new things coming in every day as we speak. Maybe even now somewhere someone is developing a new piece of code that will make our life hopefully more easy. But simultaneously, what's also happening is those who are currently skilled, they are getting obsolete in their skills really quickly, right? So skills are evolving at such a fast pace, it's very difficult to keep pace. So Priya ma'am, how can L&D address this skill gap as AI is taking over? When I say taking over, I don't mean taking over jobs, I mean taking over an accelerated pace of work. Because people are, at the end of the day, limited by their finite bandwidths and abilities to cope, whereas AI can move really quickly. So how can L&D help?
Okay, so now that we are talking about skill gaps, I would like to step back and look at it. So first thing is the skill audit. When we're talking about reskilling and upskilling, doing a skill audit, as of now what we're doing, so when you're talking about pre-AI, so initially how did the TNI happen? We used to go to people, ask them, where is it that your people need training, what skills, competencies are lacking, and we used to do the, just on the basis of a reaction, we used to do a TNI, a training need identification and analysis. Later, we started little bit of AI came into picture. I wouldn't say even AI, some automations and all, and we started building the entire competency framework into the system, into our LMS. And that is how we even enhance the experience. But still what is happening is, it is just an automated form. We are sending out the surveys to people using the LMS, and that is where they fill up their reactions. Later we came up with one more thing, okay, let us gauge them on competencies, we'll have assessments around it. But are you really finding out the actual competency and skill gaps? So now what AI can do is, AI can actually help you. The way, sorry Manju, I'm sorry. So yeah, AI could help me over there too. So the way Manju was saying, in an interview, you can actually check certain things. So that can be done in training as well. So when you're talking about your assessment centers, development centers, that is where training can actually help. But even while taking that initial interview, finding out the actual skill gaps. So once the skill audit is done, okay, that is where then L&D can actually have more relevant courses. Because when you're talking about generations, today's generation, if you see, they don't want to do a run-of-the-mill kind of a program, one size fits all. It doesn't work. They want to do whatever is relevant to them. Yeah, and that is one way of making people stick around. So you give them that kind of experience, they are more engaged. You're also developing a culture where people are more agile. Okay, they know that, okay, I have to keep learning, continuous learning. Okay, and that is where L&D comes in. So L&D's role also is changing with the advent of AI. So probably, if you have AI writing down the content, we wouldn't have a content developer. But yes, of course, the role would change. I wouldn't say the role goes away. The role would change. And that is where, the people aspect comes in for L&D.
Very interesting. You mentioned AI helping people stick around. So I'm going to close with a question to Manju ma'am. How do you think we can actually use AI for measuring employee satisfaction and retaining employees?
Okay. Employee satisfaction, I think right now, if you ask, how many of your managers in this crowd, can you raise your hands? managers, okay, coaches, because I see a lot of coaches too, okay. If you want to measure whether your coachee is engaged, you may have your own checklist or some kind of patterns, right? Okay, is my coachee engaged? I think the previous he was mentioning, right? If the CEO is not doing the assignments and coming, then 3 times in a row, if he doesn't do, how am I adding value as a coach? So there are some indicators that coaches use. There are some indicators that managers use. As a manager, one of the things that I used to use is, it's like the number of leaves and a person is taking. I think many of you might have done that. If you're a manager, you would have seen what is the frequency of absenteeism. Now this is one indicator, red alert. If there is a frequent absenteeism, it is quite possible that employee is going for other interviews. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But now if the AI is also deployed, right, you can measure how the employee, of course, it's an invasion of employee privacy to how the employees are chatting with each other. For example, there's a coach Pinky and then coach Manoj sitting next to Pinky. Now, if I am an employee and Tejas is my manager, just assume he's my manager, or let's say Kevin is our CEO, I'm pulling Kevin into everything.
We've used a lot of different hats today.
Yeah, so
Kevin
it's like,
and I have been wearing many hats.
Yeah, so then if you are monitoring my performance and you see me chatting with Manoj often stating that I'm having headache, this manager is a pain in the neck and all that, okay, this AI can actually track all the what the employee types in the at least in that intranet, the company-based thing. So that's why I said there's an element of invasion of privacy, but already Microsoft has a tool like that which already tracks. It does not invade the privacy, but it checks how much of collaboration is a particular employee doing. That's already being tracked. Microsoft has a tool like that. Okay, so like that, there are tools which can say, okay, if I ask for help from Pinky or maybe from Geetika, and is she, how many times is she helping me? If she is not helping much, then maybe she's not engaged. Maybe she's already planning to put her papers, or she's already looking for other jobs. She doesn't want to help us attain that organizational growth. So there are many subtle factors which usually in traditional realm a manager used to check, but now you can use an AI. Even as a manager, I mean, thank God I'm a coach now, because as a manager I would have been threatened because an AI might do the managerial job a much better manner than a real human being might do, except for the empathy factor. Because if you see, because I try to train my son to be empathetic, okay? So I say, when I go to the hospital, come back, I suffer from autoimmune issue. So when I come back, he says, how are you doing, mother? Now that's like the AI asking, okay, are you well? But when you have a manager, look at Shivdasini ma'am, when she says, Manju, are you doing good? That kind of expression, I don't know whether AI will be able to do it in the near future. Maybe in science fiction, we'll have robot plus AI, then you may be.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that they were just waiting in for the bell. I think Samay Samapti ki Ghoshna, as Amitabh Ji would say. You know, we've referred to him once before. So I'm just going to quickly sum up what was done on the panel. We spoke about the ever-increasing and non-ceasingly increasing role of AI and how it's not going to change things too much for people, except for the fact that it is going to change things too much. Okay? What it is going to do is it is going to make certain functionalities redundant while transforming those into better and more suitable roles. It is important for us to keep ourselves upskilled, but keep ourselves relevantly upskilled. We can use AI as a great tool, not only for improving employee productivity, but also boosting employee engagement and also monitoring employee feedback. With this, I thank my panelists for a wonderful panel discussion, and I thank you audience for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.